morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, YouTube viewers. Good morning, Facebook Nation. Good morning to all people, all colors, all races, all languages around the world. May you have the best day humanly possible as long as you have humanity in mind. We have to remember that, we're living in a world now where, we're literally being played against one another. And we have to use discernment in order to navigate our way through life. And also to attain peace of mind, because one of the things we're also faced with is we're living in a world now where your business becomes everyone's business, and what this channel represents is a way to get away from that and just to worry about you. Let those other people, if they care or they worry about you or whatever, let them be to themselves, but let you yourself be focused in your mission so that you can get the most out of life and the most enjoyment out of life with less stress, less depression, and yes, less, I can't even think of a word for it, but the word I'm looking for describes emptiness, less emptiness, because as we all know, on the day of judgment, meaning, the day that we know that we're going to pass, 9 out of 10, we look back at our lives and, there's an empty spot. So, we want to make it so that, we live the most fulfilling life that we can humanly possibly live. So, sorry that took me a long time to come out, but, I'm trying to get the right words with this. But today's topic is going to be part 6, laws of nature govern our existence, and in parentheses, it's reality versus ignorance. And the reason I'm coming out with this video is specifically because of something I heard on radio. I listen to a lot of radio commentary, so I get to hear all different points of view. As I said, I'm not one party or another. I listen to it all. But I also, because I do this, I see all the manipulation, brainwashing, the manufactured ignorance, which we're going to talk about today, that is being pushed on its own people, its own parties, on its own people, as well as when you go to races in different countries and nations. It's the same process. So the laws of nature govern no matter where you are. But it was due to, the comment where a caller had called in and it had to do with critical race theory. And when I listened to the conversation, this guy was just straight out racist in what he was saying. So the person on the, person on the broadcaster, commentator, what have you, he's speaking to this guy, but he's letting this guy, spill out all this stuff about how, a certain race of people were bad. So what he said was key, and this is again manufactured ignorance, and why I made this video. His response was, he said, you're going away from critical race theory. He said, and there are some bad ones that are out there, but we can't look at all of them as being bad. There's a few who might, be they might be the good ones, but there are some bad ones. So you have to be careful in how you word things. Basically, telling the person you're right in what you think, but you can't say it on the radio. So we did this in another video where we talk about double speech, and we also live in that world now where it's double speech, and sometimes it goes as far as 3 different types of speech coming from the same person, because people are dealing in different realities. But let's get into this. Let's get into today's topic: reality versus ignorance. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at ignorance. When most people hear this word, they get angered by it. Why do we get angered when someone says, hey, you're ignorant, or hey, that's ignorance? Why do we get mad? Because we automatically assume that one feels that another is stupid or dumb, although some people are. However, that's not what ignorant or ignorance means. What the word ignorance is defined as is, number 1, lacking knowledge, information, or awareness. So in actuality, it's a good word that offers many benefits. Let's look at it like this: from out of my ignorance, I now know. Or out of my ignorance, I have grown as a person. Out of my ignorance, I'm now prepared. I'm not going in, half prepared. I'm fully prepared. Ignorance is what makes us think that we have everything under control and we just go. And when we get to where we're going, we find out that, hey, we left a few things behind. So, sometimes ignorance, and most of the times, ignorance is a good thing because it helps us to mature. So, and what I'm here to share with you is manufactured ignorance. That's our own ignorance, but there's also manufactured ignorance, which you might be open to a possibility. But if you're hearing constant information being flooded at you, after a while, you're going to, take to whatever is being said. And that's a form of manufactured ignorance. It's ignorance that's being projected onto you outside of yourself. So much of our ignorance has nothing to do with you or I. Ignorance is taught from birth. No matter the country, nation, or land, you and I are subjects and subjected to the beliefs, morals, and values of the land, right or wrong, true or false. It doesn't matter. We're still subjected to it when we're born at birth from the land in which we were born. However, time and reality are the two factors that come into play as we grow and we mature. We learn that much of what we've learned and believed and thought as children, as we grow older, in regards to life, is not always correct. And not to say that everything is incorrect, but we learn that a lot of what we thought when we were younger is just not true. And out of our ignorance, we grow up and we realize that this is untrue. Like Santa Claus, take for instance, or the Tooth Fairy, or Prince Charming, or now on a more realistic one, where unity, or love, or peace, or equality. These things were once, we once believed that these things existed, but as we grow older, so goes the hope in these things. People don't think that we can be unified. People don't believe in love these days. People don't believe in peace these days. People don't believe in equalities these days. But these things all existed at one time. So these are things that are actually true, but we don't believe in them to be true. That's a form of manufactured ignorance, because what we see is being taken away, and the information given to us is information that's being directed in a specific way to manipulate how we think. So the reason that the things that we believe in, as we get older, we realize that reality, it tells us a whole different story. That's why we change our belief systems or our routines. We change it according to our growth. So today I wish to share with the viewers manufactured ignorance as compared to reality. Let's take, for instance, the launch that just took place. I believe it was fair use only, educational purposes only. I believe it was Captain Kirk. He went up on like this Amazon ship to go around space. And, he's the first American actor to have done so. So it's like, yeah, awesome. Hey, civilian up in space. But is that reality? Is that the reality that we're in? And is that the reality that should, overwhelm the news and overwhelm our priorities of a person or a ship going up into space? When, in fact, NASA was quoted as, for each time they launched a space shuttle, it cost $450 million per launch, $81 million per seat. SpaceX is quoted at $58 million per seat. So it is my assumption that we can safely say about $275 million per launch. However, it's not just Amazon, it's not just SpaceX, it's not just NASA. The fact is, reality tells a different story. We're living in a time right now where we have the worst fires in our history that our generation has been around within the past 100 years, by far the worst. And it will be worse because of global warming. We also have, working conditions. Speaking of the one that just went up, the Amazon guy, think about the conditions in which his workers are under, where they can't even form a union. Not only can't they form a union, they can't even, as far as their benefits go, they have to fight for everything that they get, and for everything they get, they're work even harder. But that's just not in one place, that's in all places. Places are working harder, paying you less so that you can't pay off your bills. So now the country wonders why isn't a lot of people going back to work, because a lot of people realized through COVID that they had nothing. And not only did they have nothing, their insurance was worth nothing. So we're going to explain that in one sentence. So we can say again, go back to the 7,500 million. Now, we know that there's fires. We also know that working conditions, humanitarian crimes, something that, nobody really discussed, that people who call themselves, there to help, and we pay taxes, and everyone pays taxes into it. They go all over the world to help these people, but we're finding out some of the worst crimes are being done by those same very people. So we know that the humanitarian crimes is an issue. We also know that this is the worst hurricane year in a long time as far as earthquakes go. And just to name, we don't even need to get into what COVID has done. COVID has wiped out literally millions in a year. So and we think that space is important. People dying, crime at an all-time high, murder rate at all times, mass suicide, mass divorce, child sex trafficking. Yet still, space is more important. That's manufactured ignorance. So I'm going to leave you with this, because I started out with the critical race theory. So I'm going to end with the critical race theory. I'm going to show manufactured ignorance in this as well. So many people we've come to see now from all walks of life are against knowledge, information, and awareness for all people. So they're against. They're promoting ignorance to keep people blind, but they won't allow people who are ignorant, who now can see, a fair chance at the the same avenues as which another race has in order to achieve the American dream, just like the average American person, which isn't me, but I'm American, but it's not me. So, to get back into critical race theory, the reason that so many people are angry with critical race theory is because it literally is telling us that the American system itself is broken, and it's been broken, because it was built on a lie from the very, very beginning. And I remember saying these words when I was a kid in school, and the words were for liberty and justice, liberty, freedom, and justice for all. That's what we used to say. But as an adult, ask any adult who's a minority if what they said when they were a kid applies to what it is, what they've experienced as an adult. So we know that the laws of nature don't lie. And when people want to keep you, when people want to keep you blinded, especially when you can see what how you're being oppressed, how your children are being oppressed. Any parent in their right mind would want fair education for their children as well. But yet still, what we're seeing is that we're seeing parents, politicians, people from public service, and all these different places, all these political places where it's supposed to be, hey, liberty, justice, freedom for all. And we're finding out that that is a lie. So it's a broken system, and that system can't be repaired, because when you build something on a lie, the lie can only last so long. You have to continuously tell lies and lie after lie, just like evolution, lie after lie after lie, until you can't lie anymore. And we're finding that out in so many different walks of life, especially when it comes to religious circles. Religion, people are walking away from at an all-time high. And the reason is because the youth of today don't believe in that programming. The programming, no matter where it is in the world, they're all broken. So it's not just here in one country. The program itself for oppression and slavery, enslaving the minds of the people, is broken. So now people are aware, and people are speaking up all over the world, not just here. But in here, our country, they're fighting to keep that system going, which is the ignorance of ignorance. So the irony in all this is that so many, when we discuss this, so many who are racist, and they think that they are not. They think that they're not because they don't use N-word, or they don't, look at this, or don't look at that. But there's also a condoning factor. You can condone racism, and when you condone racism, it's just like condoning a murder. It's just like condoning a rapist. It's like condoning a bombing. It's just like condoning slavery. You're not the one that's doing it, but you condone it by your actions. To sit back to say, hey, we can sit at the same table, we can break bread. And this is where ignorance, we have to walk out of ignorance, and this is where I want to leave you. When critical race theory was put out there, the ignorance is where they say, oh, here they go again, it's the George Floyd thing, and now, they want to teach, change the educational program. Those are smoke screens and diversions. So the fact of the matter is, critical race theory has nothing to do with people, has nothing whatsoever to do with people. It has to do with institutions that have been in place throughout history that were designed to oppress. So when people think that by teaching this is wrong to know, then you agree with keeping people in ignorance, and you also agree with the racism that it encompasses. So you answer your own question. And the thing is, I've had people coming to me and they've said, do you think I'm a racist? And I'm like, if you have to ask that question, then yes, you are. And they go, well, why do you hang out with me? Because why? It's up to you to change who you are. If you treat me with respect, but the fact that you don't treat these other people with respect, that doesn't mean that we're going to hang out, that we're going to be buddy. But I'm going to treat you whenever you're in my presence, because I want to treat people how I want to be treated. But to condone how you feel about another group of people, I don't agree with that. So so you leave it up to the person whether or not to remain a friend or to remain an associate or what have you, because the reason that so much of this gets away is that because the people who are in place, the ones that say, hey, I'm not a racist, are the ones who don't speak up. And as long as those people don't speak up, then everything else just continues to build. And then those smaller voice speaks for the bigger voice until things hit the fan. So we're not going to stay in this. I just wanted to share how, that manufactured ignorance is real, and that we are faced with it in many different ways. But we also have to look at condoning, how much of it we condone, because we have the right to walk away and say, hey, I don't agree with this. Even if it's not the person who's in front of you who's actually, being racist. You're carrying racist views, and you're impartial to views that affect children. all children, not just one group of children, but all children. So people, let our days ahead consist of always caring about the world around us. The greatest gift that we have in this world is the gift of love, one that we rarely see, or we rarely see displayed, and most of the times it's done in front of a camera, which is, if you're going to do good, do good. So always be concerned about the world around us and speak up in regards to the world in which we live. For that, every diversion that we face, whether it be going up into space while the world is burning, or angry about kids learning about systems that are in place that can hold them back, that as a kid they can learn ways to come up out of it, instead of saying, okay, wait until after and then figure it out for yourself. Life doesn't work like that, and that again is based on ignorance. So let's care about one another. Lastly, I want to say is that you can't care for everyone, and that's not what I'm saying. That, hey, peace and love for everybody. There are people in this world that they are undeserving of it, because they are the cause of a lot of the anger that a lot of the things that are going on in this world around us. But we also have to realize, and I'm leaving you with this, what Jesus said: Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And the reason that he said that is because Jesus himself believed in the evil that was on the face of this earth, and that if a person is empty, and if a person is lacking within themselves, then that evil entity can jump inside of you. And this is what we got. We see people out there who they are not going to change, don't want to change. So for that, you have to bypass those people. But for people that's out there that do have a chance, that do want to see a better way of life, then offer that different way, because that's what it's all about. Not everybody, not everybody in the boat wants to wear a green shirt, so remember that. And with that, everyone, have the most beautiful day. Be the best that you can be. Men, women, children, all languages, all races, all colors around the world. May you be blessed in every way. And for whatever goal that you have set forth for this day, may that goal come to fruition, as long as it encompasses the benefit of all of humankind. Because we are all on this planet together. And if we all believe in a creator, then the creator didn't make a mistake. It's us down here who's making those mistakes. Let's try to do our best to try to correct them and stand for what's right. So with that, everyone, have a beautiful day. Peace and blessings.